All right, hey there. It's Sam with you on January 1st. Happy New Year to all. So I had some members interested in Navcoin. Now, this is not one we've looked at previously, so I thought this was maybe a good example, a few things to look at and learn here. So I've got the daily chart here. So this is Navcoin to Bitcoin on Bittrex on a daily. And you can see here from its start here on Bittrex, you could make the case that we had a five-wave structure here, and we went into a 1-2. It's not gorgeous, but it's there. And then if we look for this spike here, if we look for some sort of fib relationship that would make sense from an Elliott perspective, if we call this our completed one wave and we pull from the start of that, and here I've just got the absolute low. If I pull it up to my one wave, top of my one, and project from my two, well, we do indeed go into that high probability zone here between the 178, or pardon me, the 1618 and the 175, exactly where you'd expect a third. But then we go into this massive failure. So, given this, and it's essentially it's a return all the way back to where the coin started. It's trying to squeeze an Elliott count onto this really isn't serving us. There are times when it's not advantageous. Doesn't mean we can't trade it. But from an Elliott perspective, you really just got to call this a failure. It doesn't really add value to us now, so I would not look at this fifth in the context of completing within this structure. So really, that does nothing for us. So we in effect have to start over from this low. And so if I take it, let's go down to an hourly. I mean, there was actual trading volume there. I don't know what caused that on December 7th, but something ugly happened there, and you just had a spike low. But there were stops run, and there was actually trading volume there. So we can't just discount it as aberrant, even though it's well outside of 2-3 standard deviations. I mean, something happened there. But given the quick snapback, as I look at this now, I would come to it and start looking for some signs of technical action where I can get a handle on where we are. So there's not a clean Elliott count here, but I can do a few things. So I would just start working with my fib pulls, and I would start from this low here after this, whatever caused this. We come back and we get a reasonable pivot here. So I would just start looking here to see if I can get any evidence of any technical behavior. So I mean, you've got, you come down here. So the Vegas wave seems to be influencing this. So here we get our 61865. Then it's another failure. So it's hard to call that a 1-2. Although you could, if you're really trying to force a count, you could make that case. Then if we pull here, then you get it again here. We're going a little deep. It's a little. It's not ideal, right? So, as I continue to pull these, well, that gets a little more interesting. So I've got a 786, I've got the 50, I've got my Vegas wave. We come up to an algo target. So potentially here, if I look at this swing and I go to my next deepest pull, again here we're I don't love it. So if I were just scanning through coins, this is not a place I would probably spend much time, because I don't like the technical action. But that's not to say that there isn't technical trading here. So I noticed this: if we work from this low here, we go up to our first pivot and then down to our second pivot. If I dial that in, you can see there's some evidence of some technical trading here. So that's a perfect tick of the median line. So that gets my attention. So while there's not clean Elliott trading here, we definitely have some technical trading. So that's certainly worth noting. So if we look at that and then we start to work backwards and say, okay, well, from here to here where I've got some technical trading here, I'm right to the Vegas wave. I'm right at a 382. So, it's not unreasonable to anticipate that we're going to go up and visit at least the algo target here at the negative 23.6, and perhaps a revisit to the median line, depending on the time frame that we get there. Could be up here, get the negative 618. So I don't love it, but again, it's a request from some members that are trading this. So for me, if you're not in it now, I don't see a lot of opportunity. This wouldn't be a place where I would continue to spend time. But if you are in it, or you caught this first pullback for whatever reason, or you like the fundamental story, I mean, if I look over here, if we go visit on CoinGecko, we're well over 50. We've got a market cap of 237 million. There's some trading volume here. The bulk of it is on Bittrex, which is why I'm showing it to you on Bittrex. But all of this is positive here. So, as I look at this, I wouldn't say there's necessarily anything new that's setting up. I'd want to see more development and more distance from this low. So I don't get a clean Elliott count here, so it's really not worth forcing one. So I would just be working, if I were in this coin for whatever reason, I would not be forcing an Elliott count, even though I could put one on there. We could call this. We could. Yeah. I mean, you could work from here. Sometimes an Elliott count takes its time in shaping up. So we could have this underway. So we don't get the overlap of the 4 here. So from this choppiness, it appears that we start to form some structure here that could be useful to us. But given what it's done and where it's been, I would be waiting for this to complete. I'd want to get a good 5-wave structure to tell me I had potentially some sort of a 1-wave underway. And then I'd start looking for a retracement to try and catch a 2. So, it's not the best looking chart I've ever seen, but it certainly is giving evidence that there's some technical trading here. So if we come up here and we see a pivot either at the median line or on the negative 23, that would tell you that there's potentially, we've got algo activity in here. Again, it looks like it's a strong project, but it's just not ideal technical trading. If we get this to complete, then perhaps it takes on more structure and we get a better feel for it trading technically. And I would look again, if indeed we're going to come up here and pivot here at the median line, then perhaps you might make a case that there's a play down here for at least a return to the 50 to try and get more structure. And that's not uncommon, that we lack structure and then eventually it starts to shape and you can see it and then take advantage of it. So again, if you're not long, I wouldn't be chasing it here. If you are long, I'd be anticipating a revisit to the median line to complete a 5-wave structure, and then I'd be setting up, either taking some profit. That's what I would do. I'd take some profit, and then I'd look for another opportunity to get long with better structure there. So that's what I see. As I said, there are times when forcing a count, an Elliott count doesn't really offer you much benefit, but we do see it starting to shape up here. So that's all I've got for that one. I'll wrap it there.